Welcome to the Yarnchix Podcast. My name is Mimi. I come to you from Berlin Wedding, and I have a lot of knitting, some sewing, some quilt making, some stash busting, and a lot of passion for this community to share with you. So I'm very happy you've found your way here, and that we're going to spend some time together. Today I'm going to talk about my current projects. I don't think I have a finished object. Word is out. I'm basically so busy knitting all these bits and bobs that I haven't produced anything finished. So there. I am knitting the Solbein Cardigan and the Full Moon Wrap by Emily Foden. So I'll talk about that. The Tarot Knit Oracle, not Knit Tarot Oracle, sorry. The Tarot Knit Oracle is all about the fear of missing out. Will I have the fear of missing out forever? Will be the question I'll ask my trusted tarot cards. There's a knit reportage from Portugal, Lisbon, where I visited Rosa Pomar's amazing shop, Retrosaria Rosa Pomar, and I will do some stash searching. Obviously there were some acquisitions from Rosa Pomar because that's my dream shop and she produces some amazing wool, so there is acquisitions this time again, though I reckon there'll be more stash revisited clips. So come and well, you're here already. Stay and watch this. I'm currently knitting the Full Moon Wrap by Emily Foden, which is a design from her book, Knits About Winter. It's the most amazing thing, especially I think they did well in waiting for it to get grey and cold, and now it's published and we're all ready for winter. The photographs in this are so extremely moody and perfect. It's the Moosburg winter as we all dream about it and imagine it, where Emily is dyeing her amazing yarn for Viola and the Moon. And yeah, I'm knitting this Full Moon Wrap. I just love, especially the photographs of this sort of snowy, drapey scenery. And well, all of this book is in this great, I don't know, there's a mood to it. I'm sure you've seen it and spotted it because Pom Pom Press is doing a good job at sharing some of these photographs already. There's some texts. There's a photograph of Emily herself. I just saw it. The amazing maker of Viola yarn and designer of the Full Moon Wrap, Emily Foden. She is amazing. This is my version of her Full Moon Wrap. I'll have to get up because it's huge. It's so long. I've knitted 2/3. So this is 2/3 of the Full Moon Wrap. I'm still not finished. I ran out of yarn. It's sort of, you know, I have this little bit left and I was going, am I going to just stop it there? But no, I want to continue and at least complete the repeats that I mentioned. I think I only noticed it was like a 2-meter thing when I started measuring. So how far did I get with these 3 skeins? I did a stash dive, and I'm so happy to report I found yarn in my stash that is also Coburger Fuchs. So this is knitted with Hey Mama Wolf Coburger Fuchs, and I had 3 skeins and love this sort of reddish color. I'm gonna try and add in some of the photographs. I think I might have added them in already in the little clip in between, where you can see the sort of, it's orangey red, it has a glow, this yarn. It's hard to depict in photographs and on film, but it's real. Coburger Fuchs is a German, so a very specific breed with these red tints. So there is every now and then there'll be a dark hair, and this is so deeply red that it'll make the whole yarn shiny and more red. And I guess when spinning, these have spread throughout, and there's this glow. There's no other word that can describe this color. Is this sort of kind of glow, which I think is perfect for the full moon. I'm gonna have to add a different color to the edge. I'm thinking I'm gonna use Hey Mama Wolf indigo dyed yarn to create the edge with the bobbles and the tassels, just so to have like a clear line. I don't think I want to do that in the same yarn. I have 100 grams of a Coburger Fuchs yarn, which is by the Werdenfelser Schafwolladen, Schafwolle Natur, Coburger Fuchs, 100 grams. I haven't only got these 100 grams, but the color is so similar. It's the same breed, and I reckon it's a similar, everything is very similar. I don't think you'll be able to tell the difference. So we'll see. I'll show next time. I'll show this as an FO, and we'll see if it has shown that this Coburger Fuchs yarn and the Hey Mama Wolf Coburger Fuchs yarn that I've used so far, if there's any difference. We'll have to see. That's what I got from stash diving, so luckily I don't have to buy any more yarn, although I've run out of yarn.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together.
One of those things was when I came back from Portugal. It's here, handy. I revisited my Solbein. I had Solbein Cardigan. The Solbein Cardigan is designed by Mary Jane Mucklestone, and it's published in the Making Zine Lions. I think it wasn't this year, so it was from 2017, and I'd started it in 2017. I'd made a huge mistake when I introduced the third colour here, and there was all these stitches that looked horrendous. They were bulging, so I frogged back to the point just before the third colour was introduced and re-knitted the yoke, and then carried on knitting and knitting and knitting and knitting, and I finished the body. I'm so excited. So this is 2 weeks since we've come back from Portugal. 2 weeks of quite casual knitting, mainly on the weekend, because I'm taking the full moon wrap everywhere, and the Solbein is sort of my home knit because of it being from Lopi. It's quite bulky and it's airy, so it's not heavy, but it's a big bag, and I tend to take my smaller projects on the commute and to work. So yes, on the weekends this has happened, and this weekend I started my first sleeve. As you might notice, I've got this huge pokey hole where I picked up the stitches underneath the armpits. Any tricks, guys, please do let me know. I don't know how this happens. I think it happened last time I worked with Lopi on the Tresta sweater, and I ended up using like the yarn end from casting on. I think I can fiddle it through. I used this to stitch up that. Is that what you all do? Do you guys produce these humongous gaps? Should I have just picked up more stitches? I think so. I think I should have picked up more stitches. Who knows? It's definitely a mistake I'll have to iron out later on. And the other thing, when I knit sleeves, every time I do a decrease, I add a little stitch marker so that I remember, because in the past I've tried to remember. I'm like, I'm gonna be clever about it. It's all stored up in my humongous air bubble brain. So I've not written it down. Nope. This time I'm using a notebook that I was gifted by a friend, and I'm writing down my sleeve decreases, because I tend to change things around when I realize, oh my god, this is a bit too steep of a decrease, I'm gonna slow down, and then I forget, and then I have to recount, and I haven't stored it here, and then I get all confused, and that's how Mimi gets stuck on Sleeve Island, because she confuses herself. This time I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna take notes. I'm gonna knit the sleeve. Now I have another thing that my brain can't handle. That is, if in an instruction it says, and then 8 more times every 6th row, decrease as so. I'm like, yeah, but, and I think I've said that to quite a few friends, especially in our knitting group, where I go, what does that mean? So do I do the decrease and then I count till 6 and then I do it again? Is that the 7th? In the past I've done it, I've counted and I've done it on number 1 and on number 6, but that will be every 5th row. And to be honest, I just get into this whole, what do they mean? What is it I'm doing? So I prefer when it's actually spelled out to me. A pattern is a good pattern if I can go, oh, they've said knit row 1, knit row 2, knit row 3, knit row 4, knit row 5, row 6, knit 1, knit 2 together, knit to so, knit 2 together, and then row, you know that sound of spelling it out. I think some designers think that we all are, I don't know, maybe that's judgmental. I don't want to judge any designers. All I'm saying is I get confused by this. Every 6th row decrease as such, because, and then 8 times, and I go, then I might make the mistake of decreasing every 8 rows, but only 6 times, and the sort of thing of it having to recheck the actual written pattern. It's a different thing to having like maybe a charted sleeve. I don't know. This is just my personal struggle with the knitting of sleeves and why I get stuck on Sleeve Island, because I just completely confuse myself. And I really hope I am not going to be stuck on Sleeve Island, as I've already got to do this ironing out of armpit holes thing. I hope at least that I get sleeve 1, then sleeve 2 done, and then it's onto the steek. Here, these sort of funky stitches in the middle, they're not like part of the design or something I've decided to add as a sort of feature, but I will be steeking. Hence I'm going to use the sewing machine and sew down either side. There's a couple of stitches in between, and then I'll cut it and add a button band. It's one of the most exciting things. one can do in the sort of knitting of colour work, I suppose, is this whole snip cutting your own knit stitches. I'm very excited. I'll share that in the next podcast because I'm sure this will be done before I next sit down. So Solbein with Let Lopi bought at Wollen in Berlin Friedrichshain and gifted to me by my mother-in-law, who is arriving tonight. So she'll be extra pleased to see that I have, come somewhere. Who knows? She's here for a week. Maybe I'll finish while she's here. It's sort of my own little personal deadline thing, hoping that I can finish while she's here. That'd be nice. So on other projects, there was going to be a Swatch story, but I'll have to dig into my little bag to talk about Swatch stories, so you just have to wait whilst I'll rummage. This time is for two projects that I'm currently knitting. One is this tiny swatch, and I've made a little plunder. I think in English you say pullover, although it hasn't got sleeves, and in German we say polunder because you can put something under. It's a bit of a funny factoid there. And this is my swatch for the St. James hat by Francesca Hughes, who is an amazing knitwear designer from the UK and currently hosting the FH Cal, Francesca Hughes Cal, in her Ravelry group. I am joining with both the Jamboree. I'm hoping to cast it on once I've cast off the Solbein, so things are, rolling knit after knit. But to bridge over, because I knew I was being a bit quiet in the knit along and I didn't announce it in the last podcast, I started swatching for the St. James hat. I'm very excited to knit it in this lovely, lovely green yarn from Little Line Head Knits, who is a amazing indie dyer. I'm not sure if you follow her. Her photography is amazing, her yarn is amazing. And she very generously supported the Magic 3 Mile with a prize, as did Francesca. And Hannah, who won the overall prize, had some yarn from Little Line Head Knits as well. And she also chose to knit the St. James hat from Francesca Hughes' pattern. Hannah got to choose two patterns by Francesca, and she also knitted and just finished, so that was quite exciting to see. Now I'm gonna have to cast on in this amazing green. I still haven't cast on, it was my weekend plan. However, I was busy with other stuff like sewing, which is coming up in a minute. So for now, this is my swatch story. A little something for the teddies is a swatch, and a little hat for Pinga, who I hopefully have here so I can try it on. So these are two new projects that will happen. Swatch number 1, St. James hat, and swatch number 2 is a test knit for a friend of mine from Cynthia, who is going to release her Myrtle Bear pattern. It's like a knitted teddy bear pattern. I don't really know the release date, so we'll have to see, but the test knit is running currently and I've cast on, so that is one thing. I will share this once everything is released. So this is Pinga, and Pinga is gonna have an ice bear teddy friend. She can't wait, she's like so excited. And to bridge over while she's waiting, she's got a little hat, and I think it should have a little pom-pom on the top. The tuxedo, oh my god. Lovely Julie, who gifted me this notebook that I'm using. She also knitted the tuxedo for Pinga because I'd been in tuxedo block phase for ages. All I've done is, with the little remainder of yarn that she sent along, I've added an I-cord to the leg holes and to this belly, to the edges, basically because it was slightly too big, as my Pinga is a tiny, tiny one. And now it fits perfectly. She's got this little pouch here where she can hide extra fish. And yeah, she's gonna have a hat and a friend joining her for Christmas, which is a little ice bear. Yes, exciting! Her other friend is Ginger Bear. And Ginger has got to borrow, because she asked, she's like, you've got all these knits now, can I borrow the mini poet swatch? So she's wearing this tiny sweater that I've knitted for Pinga originally, but it fits both of them, which is sort of perfect in my daughter's world where all her teddies and everyone shares. When it fits, they get to share. So I'm quite happy that this is being shared amongst the teddies. I knitted the swatch from Rosy Green Wool Merino Dahl, which we sell at Wollwind in Tegel, where I work in this yarn shop. And I'm super excited because I'm gonna have this as my Christmas knitting. Not as a sweater that I will wear on Christmas. Maybe that was part of the dream when I swatched, but I realized time has moved on. It is more like a selfish knit that will be knitted as slowly as it needs to, because it's a lace sweater. I don't know if you can see the texture. It's a lovely lace texture with these moss stitch areas, and I'm gonna love this sweater. The Poet Sweater is a design by Sari Nordlund, who published her pattern was published in the Line magazine, the most recent one, and I'm like absolutely crazy about this issue. There is so much good stuff in this one. I guess we all know that they just keep going and going strong, but I have to say, hats off. This is a really interesting mix of textured, and also there's a very, very complicated cabled cardigan. I will not be able to knit this because I'm just such an impatient person, but I'm gonna teach myself this, at least to sit down with this lace and teach myself. And I like that, you know, you can attempt more difficult knitwear if you sit down to push yourself. And there is also patterns that I find, like the Virginia sweater, a design by Jonna, are great ways of entering into garment knitting. So Line magazine really is a magazine that works for all levels of knitters, and it's a visual stunner, so there, win-win. Everyone gets to have a go. So this is gonna be an exciting... I've actually shared 3 swatch stories, and they're 3 teddy bear things. from their garments. Well, what better place to introduce the quilt that I'm making, in great support by Lisa, Erica Eccles, who has shared fabric and skills with me so that I can make a little toy quilt. I started this in our make-along, the Magic 3 make-along, where we made 3 things, like a top, a bottom and a toy. I've spoken about it a lot. You can go watch back some of the older episodes. And this is the state of affairs for the mini quilt that I'm making for my daughter and her teddies to have like a little picnic blanket or quilt to sleep under. That is the front, and the back is a recycled old denim skirt of mine, so it's this sort of not so thick, sort of cottony denim, and I've stitched on my daughter's star sign, which happens to be Pinga's star sign, because Pinga was a birthday present 2 years ago. So this is meant to wrap Pinga and her friends up, or they can have it out as for their teddy's picnic, and I can't wait. I've basted it. So you see I've got the wadding and so the bottom, the wadding, and then the top, which is these tiny hand stitch squares. And I've basted it, which is sort of roughly stitched it all together. And the next thing would be to quilt it. So then you really take your time, and I'm going to try and add a pattern of some sort, which is all things that I'm learning through Lisa's blog, and just looming in my mind and having lots of ideas. On the note of quilting, I have overtaken myself. So the mini quilt is in progress, but I've started making other quilts because I've been prototyping. I don't know if you noticed that during Slow Fashion October, I kept on finding all these shirts on the street, and it drove me mad. I found littered textile rubbish everywhere. I don't know, at first it was like, why is there this stuff on the ground? And then there was, okay, bring a bag, take it home, wash it really hot, look at the fabrics, try and combine them, and start a quilt. So there was this whole idea of my mind going, what can be done with this? Textile litter, which is actually like broken shirts, maybe the sleeves were torn, maybe some buttons had ripped off or buttonholes had gone frayed, you know, nothing fixable. But I didn't want to use them as clothes again. I wanted to sort of upcycle them, and I finished my first upcycling prototype this weekend. It is a huge shopper, and I used 4 shirts, and look, this is like the sleeves of the shirt, one of this, plus another sleeve of this jeans shirt, and then the back is the back of one of the shirts from the front. For the inside, I used an old sheet, or this sort of calico fabric my neighbor had given me when I told her about my idea. And intentionally, and for the big quilt that I'm making, this fabric will be plant dyed, just to sort of upgrade it and lift it a little bit more. But I've got quite a lot of this fabric. And, oh yeah, and I used the buttonhole band, like, for the top bit, so you can see like the little buttonholes, and I'm just very excited to start playing around with things that you could make. This is obviously a huge shopper. Shopper made from, well, just sleeves and fronts. So these are 4 sweater fronts, 2 sleeves, and not sweater. So 4 shirt fronts, 2, this is a sleeve. So, and that is half a sleeve each. So 2 sleeves, 4 shirt fronts, and some recycled calico. I can make a huge bag. I reckon I've found 17 shirts in total, 2 of which are women, so they're a bit shorter, smaller, less fabric. But I reckon I can make a quilt for a double bed. So fingers crossed, this will be happening all alongside. I'm going to start making squares like this, and I'm going to machine quilt, just so that this process is relatively, time management wise. I can get it done in January or for January, because I do want to auction off this wedding street style quilt. I'm calling it street style wedding quilt or something, because it's absolutely crazy. I can make a huge quilt from shirts that I found in the street. And thank you to Slow Fashion October, because just by being in that mindset, it opened my eyes to something that was happening locally and somewhere where I can get involved and make a little difference and create something to maybe cause more thought awareness. And I'm gonna somehow try and bring this back to my local area. Altogether, maybe we can raise some money, and then money will go to a local shelter for women who are in stress, because the street is a dangerous place, and I don't, being homeless is a dangerous thing, and finding these clothes in the street often made me think of how did they get there? Was someone hurt? And I wanted to give something to the women's shelter. So once the street style quilt is finished in this kind of style, I'll share it again here, and I'll make sure I'll promote the heck out of it. I'm really sorry, but this is a cause worth promoting. I find it really hard to keep up and keep track of all the ways that we should promote our own work. But that is something where I'm excited to push for people to recognize. First of all, the issue of textile rubbish. This is crazy and wasteful consumer behavior, and not confrontational, but sort of in a positive way, bring people around to the idea of, could I fix this? Can I swap it? I have this pink shirt, I don't want to wear pink anymore, maybe someone else has got a nice blue jeans shirt, or sort of organizing things alongside these quilts. I call it an auction, but it'll be like a ticketing system where people can maybe learn how to use the sewing machine, where there will be little swap trade markets, and mending cafes. I'm really inspired also by people like Tom of Holland, and the whole discussion on slow fashion and being mindful, like amazing Sarah's illustration about making do with what we have. Use what we have, fix it and mend it, for me are one of the main sort of focuses in the drive to reduce my own stampede on this planet. In the run-up to Christmas last year, and I'm going to do this again, I'm going to do the Advent special, so there'll be 4 little mini podcasts away from the usual podcasting, all to do with little rituals, little bits of making and sharing of probably also my Jawohl Rotterdam magic yarn ball. I've joined this magic yarn ball swap, and last year in all 4 of my Advent clips you can see the progress and process of me knitting and what I find in my magic yarn ball treat that I had been sent by Josh Moore, who's an amazing friend and designer. She'd also designed the cowl that I was knitting, and yeah, I did a lot of filming about that, so you're very welcome to watch them back, and I invite you back for my Advent clips starting after the 1st of Advent. Maybe I'll get one ready for the first Advent Sunday. Kind of love that period of time of slowing down, and have started, so I'm glad there'll be more. Show you the recent Yarnchixzine, which is a little publication that I put out there all about sort of knitterly fancies, politicals, opinions, and quite a lot of interesting words by myself, but also by others. I'm super excited to have Sit Spot article by amazing Katrin, who is Waldweg on Instagram, and she has a blog where she talks a lot about sort of her wilderness experiences, and she has a monthly post about her sit spot, and wrote an article about what the sit spot means, and sort of encouraging us to find a place for us to maybe sit and be with nature, which I thought was amazing. There is the extra exciting recipe for patchwork making. I will be showing my mini quilt, which is in great support by Lisa Erika Eccles, who wrote this little pattern, or let's say more of a recipe of little things, tricks to follow for your patchwork quilting, and she supported me in learning. It's in the zine, so we can all learn it, you can all learn it. There is an interview by Katharin, I think you would say in German, Leopardenkinder, who interviewed me for her blog Umstandslos, and I translated it to English. It's all about the Berlin Knit Night Liebeswedding Strickt. There is a lot of amazing drawings. Actually, on that page I should be showing you as well. It's one of my favorite pages this time. We have the amazing illustrations by Caro, who has also illustrated the cover of Yarnchixzine Nest. And Caro added in all the little chickens and chicks to this zine when I finished it, and I loved working together with her. So there will be more of this collaboration, I'm sure. Yeah, check out my Etsy shop. Check out my Patreon, where you can subscribe to this. There's still a couple of days left in November, so if you were to subscribe to the Yarnchixzine, you'll still get it in November and December. That's that. There's potentially a new zine already happening in December. I'm working away at it. I'm hoping I can get it done parallel to all the Christmas stuff, but who knows. There is never enough time for knitting, for making, for, I don't know how people do it. I don't know how I do it. Somehow things get knitted, but time seems to be a commodity. Short. And look, this is how much of this Coburger Fuchs I have. Oh my word! Stash dive success! A sweater quantity. Actually, it's a quantity for 2 sweaters, as I had intended to knit the mom and child sort of sailor shape with this sort of bib on the back sweater. Mom and Child by Junko Okamoto. Oh god, do your research. So the Child and Mam sweater by Junko Okamoto. I was gonna knit twice, and I bought this when I was at Rauwerk 2 years ago in the advert season. So this is like been stashed and not knitted, and I reckon it will never happen. My daughter would not wear this kind of yarn. I'm processing, I'm learning stuff, I'm moving on, and I can just add the skein to the full moon wrap. That's where it's needed. I can relocate the stash. More about that later, because that's basically one of the things where I'm focusing at the moment, because I can preach as much as I like about slow fashion. I can also practice a little bit of it, and that is revisit my own stock of materials and reconsider what to make with these items. You know, sometimes it's quite good to redelegate and maybe even to frog a whip that has been loitering, and you know, all those kind of things before always going out and jumping to conclusions and buying whole new sweater quantities, as I do, because of this ever-present fear of missing out. So, as I said, there will be the knit reportage following soon of my Rosa Pomar visit, where I bought a sweater quantity of the amazing Brusca yarn. Brusca is 100% Portuguese wool that Rosa Pomar produced around the time I made the interview with her for the Yarnchixzine #2. And in the conversation there, we spoke a lot about her label design. So it's amazing now to have like a whole bag full of wool with this, with this drawing. There is something amazing about Rosa Pomar's approach to work and approach to getting the artist involved in creating a sort of emotional statement in connection with this yarn. Super excited for her Busto sweater design in the liner issue #6 that I have bought this for. So Rosa also designed this. It's like a reverse stockinette sweater with bubbles on it. And I was chatting to her and said that I'm looking for the Brusca for this sweater. And we were just having a chat, and she showed me a picture of a friend's Brusca sweater. It's my Rosa Pomar bag. And oh no, this is and the sweater basically had a background color, and the bubbles are all the popcorn design bubbles were different colors. So I've now got this amazing array of Mondim, also sock yarn by Rosa Pomar, and my bubbles will all be knit from Mondim in different colors. The background color, the main sweater, will be this color. I haven't swatched for it yet. There's definitely swatching needing to happen, so watch the space. I'll write about it probably on my Patreon and on my Instagram, but I will definitely podcast about that swatch next time, plus another mini sweater swatch that's on the needles for Pinga, because Ginger seems to have adopted the poet, so Pinga will get a little mini Swatch sweater. And yeah, I'll share about that more. So for now, go have a look at me visiting the amazing Rosa Pomar store called Retrosaria Rosa Pomar, who has just had this anniversary. Can you read it? Since 2008, that's 10 whole years of Retrosaria Rosa Pomar. How amazing! Yeah, please go have a look at my little knit reportage and stay around if you want to find out the Tarot Knit Oracle's answer to my question about the fear of missing out. Will I have the fear of missing out forever? I hope you enjoy the glimpses of my meetup with the amazing Rosa Pomar, who is such a wool hero. She is amazing. I'm glad I met her personally and in real life, and that we had a conversation that was just ours, so there's no interview, no sort of podcasting. I didn't go there because I wanted to podcast about it. I went there because me wanted to visit Rosa, and I obviously grabbed a couple of shots here and there. It's nothing special, but still a little visit and a little glimpse that I feel like sharing with you, and I hope you enjoy it. Again, as always, when I say goodbye, I had a little extra waffle. Thank you for sticking out. Well, thank you for sticking around for my little extra waffle.